Chris Whipple has spent years chronicling White House chiefs of staff, but his latest Vanity Fair profile may be his most revealing yet. Based on 11 interviews conducted over nearly a year with Trump's current chief of staff, Susie Wiles, the piece offers perhaps the clearest explanation to date for why the Trump White House appears to operate in a constant state of dysfunction. And the dysfunction isn't subtle. In the interview, Wiles delivers a series of remarkably blunt assessments of the people running the government. Comments that sound less like political spin and more like an unfiltered staff meeting that accidentally went to print. According to Wiles, Vice President J.D. Vance has been a conspiracy theorist for a decade. Budget Director Russ Vought is described as a right-wing absolute zealot. Elon Musk is portrayed as an avowed ketamine user who sleeps in a sleeping bag inside the executive office building. Donald Trump, her boss, is said to have an alcoholic's personality, not in the sense of drinking, but in the sense of addiction to power and a belief that no rules truly apply to him. If this was meant to reassure the public, it had the opposite effect: damage control without denial. Once the article dropped, the White House rushed into cleanup mode. Wiles and her team dismissed the profile as a disingenuously framed hit piece, claiming key context was missing. But here's the problem: they didn't deny most of it. The only claim Wiles explicitly disputed was the remark about Elon Musk using ketamine. Unfortunately for the damage control effort, Chris Whipple later informed the New York Times that he had audio recordings backing up every quote. Every word is on tape, Whipple said, which may explain why the White House chose selective outrage instead of blanket denial. Not a gatekeeper, just along for the ride. The interview makes one thing painfully clear. Susie Wiles does not see her role as restraining Trump's worst impulses. She sees herself as a facilitator, an observer, someone who goes along. Take the mass pardon of roughly 2,500 January 6th defendants. Wiles admits she initially questioned whether Trump really wanted to do it, but immediately folded once he decided. Trump justified the pardons using claims that were factually incorrect, claims that could have been disproven with minimal effort. Wiles didn't check. She didn't push back. She got on board. As Whipple notes, court records show many of those pardoned had already received lighter than guideline sentences, including individuals convicted of assaulting police officers and seditious conspiracy, but facts apparently were optional. Elon Musk, USAID, and the cost of shrugging. The most disturbing example may involve Elon Musk's dismantling of USAID, a move that abruptly cut off life-saving humanitarian aid around the world. Wiles told Whipple that Musk pushed forward knowing it would horrify people. She also admitted that Trump doesn't know and never will understand the details of such agencies. That's not a defense. That's an indictment. It was literally Wiles's job to make sure the president understood decisions that could cost thousands of lives. Instead, she shrugged and let it happen. Political retribution admitted out loud. Wiles also acknowledged a supposed loose agreement with Trump that political score settling would stop after 90 days. It didn't. When asked about investigations targeting figures like Adam Schiff, James Comey, and Letitia James, Wiles offered this astonishing line. In some cases, it may look like retribution, and there may be an element of that from time to time. Who would blame him? Regarding Letitia James, she went further, effectively conceding that it was retribution, an admission any competent defense attorney would frame and hang on the wall. A chief of staff who won't say no. Traditionally, the chief of staff is the one person outside the president's family who can look the president in the eye and say, "This is wrong, you can't do this." Former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld once told Whipple that this was the core of the job. Donald Trump, however, does not tolerate that role. And so Wiles abandoned it. As J.D. Vance approvingly put it, she doesn't try to control the president. She facilitates his vision. More chaos to cover the chaos. Within hours of the article's publication, Trump did what he always does, escalated the noise. A surprise primetime address, aggressive statements about Venezuela, fresh controversies layered on top of old ones. The goal was obvious: distract from the looming release of the Epstein files, rising healthcare costs, and a portrait of a White House where no one is steering. And perhaps the most damning revelation of all is this: the person tasked with keeping things on track has admitted in black and white that she's simply along for the ride. When the train has no brakes and the conductor refuses to listen, chaos isn't a glitch of this administration, it's the operating system.